As we were just coming to this hall, we were reminded that today happens to be the 94th anniversary of our ashram. We have forgotten. When we have been thinking, but what do we mean by forgetting? We are very much with the ashram, no? Always we are reminded on Papa's beloved words. At the time of inauguration, we were not there. We were not born there at that time. But when he made us to go through in the vision of God, in that particular portion which refers to setting up of this ashram, Papa had in detail mentioned about the opening ceremony. So he made us to go through that. The date we may not remember, but the first inaugural speech, that is the ideal of the ashram. That should never be forgotten. Because that is our starting point. Many of us may not know at all. The moment it came to our knowledge, and he prompted us that everybody may not have access to this, immediately we were prompted to have a board with a photo, and that is why you see immediately when you step out of this centenary hall, you will see that. Because this is the first thing we should know, no? Devotees, when they come to ashram, they should know what Papa meant, what Papa visualized, what sankalpa Papa had at the time of inauguration of this ashram, setting up of this ashram. So on this day at least we remember that. Because it is in a capsule form, it contains everything, not only the methodology, not only the ideal, but also the methodology, always trying to keep up this vision before us. If this vision is not there, then we will be doing some activity, that's all. It should correlate with the ideal of the ashram given out by the master, not you and I discuss. So, on a similar occasion, previously we were requesting Puja Swamiji also, to give us some message so that we will not forget. So in 1991 or somewhere, I'm not very clear. Yes, in 1991, he gave us this, but it's a perennial instruction. So I will just read it out and then we will try. It is a joy to recall the day when Virat Papa and Mataji inaugurated Ananda Ashram on 15th May 1931, and the short speech Virat Papa delivered on that occasion. Ramdas has the supreme delight to speak to you today a few words at the inauguration of this holy ashram. The ideal which the ashram holds before it is universal love and service based upon the vision of divinity in all beings and creatures of the world. Here, every man, woman or child, to whatever denomination, creed or caste the person may belong, shall have free access. This is a place where every effort will be made to cultivate the spirit of mutual love and service so that what is realized within its walls may prove as an example for the right conduct of human life in the outside world. The Lord is our help and guide in all matters. May He, with all His bounty, shower His blessings on the great service which is His home of love and bliss has undertaken to render. Established in Sahaja Samadhi, Virat Papa saw everyone and everything as Ram himself and started putting into practice the lofty ideals, serving his beloved Ram in his innumerable forms in many ways, spreading the glory of Ramnam and the timeless message of universal love and service all over the world. Mataji Krishnabai, who also got established in Sahaj Samadhi soon after Ananda Ashram was inaugurated, became a close associate of Virat Papa and gave him the full operation support in all that he did during his sojourn in the world and carried on independently with the invisible spiritual support of the Master after his Mahasamadhi. Though her health was none too strong, they both invisibly still continue their service by guiding everyone in the ashram, and we pray that they should continue to do so forever. It can be recalled with joy that during the past 60 years of life, now it is 94 years of life, ashram life, everyone, irrespective of caste, creed or nationality, was welcomed, treated with great love, enabled to gain a deep understanding of the way to cultivate the spirit of love and service in his or her daily life, how to live a peaceful and happy life, how to expand that love and service to embrace the entire universe. Countless devotees have over the years visited Papa personally. Sit down. And after his Mahasamadhi at Satsang with Virat Papa and Mataji, through his recorded audio tapes, understood the glory of Ramnam, learned the purpose of life, and have striven and have been striving their best to live up to the ideals pointed out by Venerable Papa. The lives of many after their visit to the ashram have been transformed and blessed with peace and happiness. Many sadhakas aspiring for God realization have been greatly benefited by their contact with Venerable Papa and Mataji. Though Venerable Papa used to remark that very few among the visitors really possessed intense aspiration to realize God, he did say that there were a few who had such inspiration and got the maximum benefit. Everyone who came to the ashram benefited to some extent. Thus, Venerable Papa and Mataji have been able to transform the routine lives of innumerable families, free them from the life of worries and anxieties, and set their sight in the life divine, full of peace and happiness. Puja Mataji, as a compassionate mother, was not, however, satisfied with the benefit gained and the progress made by the devotee. She often expressed her disappointment in not having been able to see many sadhakas blessed with this highest vision. Anandashram became a field for Puja Mataji to manifest her universal love and service. She fed those who came hungry, clothed those who were in rags, treated and tended those who were sick. She gave whatever help was possible in cash and kind to the needy. The most important help was her gift of houses for the poor and the homeless. She constructed small houses whenever possible, and in many other cases helped them by way of giving tiles for roof, timber for windows and door frames. As Venerable Papa mentioned in his speech quoted above, God has been guiding and helping the ashram in all matters from the very beginning. We fervently pray that with his blessings, the great service initiated by Venerable Papa and Mataji may continue in strength for many more decades, enabling as Venerable Papa mentioned in his speech quoted above, God has been guiding and helping the ashram in all matters from the very beginning. We fervently pray that with his blessings, the great service initiated by Venerable Papa and Mataji may continue in strength for many more decades, enabling many more to attain universal vision and live for universal love and service, thus contributing towards peace and happiness in the world. In the process, also enriching their own lives with the experience of oneness with God, who is eternal and infinite and who has manifested as the entire universe of names and forms. In humbleness of spirit, we pray Venerable Papa Mataji to continue guiding graciously everyone to hold fast to the high ideals set by them and to give everyone strength and courage to translate them into beneficial activities, make the ashram a precious gift, a haven of peace and bliss. Now coming back to Papa's words again, we are asking ourselves whether we have understood this. Whether our life so far lived portrays or depicts the ideal, or whether we have forgotten. I think this board was set up in 2010 or 11. So prior to that, 99% of the people may not know all these things. Though they may be coming, they may be visiting. Because Papa's habit is not to tom what he did. He expected everyone to go through, reflect. We were also not told. But at the right moment, when we were passing through intervention of God, we have read many a times. But this particular quotation of Papa at the time of inauguration, Papa did not draw our attention to those things. And when we were thinking, just to read, that's what we were all doing. But a time has to come to appreciate, to understand, to admire, to probe deep into, to reflect upon those words. It takes time. Then suddenly, when you would have read it many a time, but that particular time is really, this is the first basic thing a visiting devotee and an inmate should remember. That's why it is kept outside. Ramdas has the supreme delight to speak to you today a few words at the inauguration of this holy ashram. A photo also is there, how our ashram was. Not like today. The ideal which the ashram holds before it is universal love and service based upon the vision of divinity in our being. There we should stop and start pondering. What is meant by the vision of divinity? Previously, when we started associating with this word divinity, we always felt something supernatural, no? Superhuman. Because we are ordinary people. Divine is something with it. So when we start thinking about it, then we come to know divinity. By the word divinity only meant that which is the common denominator in all of us. The God dimension. And God stands for, everybody is free to define God, but Papa chose to define it as a subtle and mysterious power, expressing in the form of life force, consciousness and intelligence. So, just like we have got life force, consciousness and intelligence, everyone has. But when we don't realize this, how can we realize this in others? That is what Papa meant. So when it comes to that, we cannot but love, we cannot but serve. Because there is a common denominator. I exist because of that. He exists, she exists because of that. Think. You see the tree here, there is a life. You see the tree, wind, there is life. It is not stationary. When we see the earth, there is life. When we see Surya Narayana Bhagavan, there is life. So we start reflecting. Papa's one simple, innocent word. Universal love and service based upon the vision of divinity in everybody. At least intellectually we will understand first. Here every man, woman or child, whatever denomination, creed or caste the person may belong, shall have free access. When we started thinking about this word, what came to us was, it is not reserved for anyone. Everything is for everybody, That is what God teaches us through His creation. Mother Nature, through Mother Nature He has brought the air we breathe, the water we drink, the earth on which we stand, the space in which we move, the body temperature, sun, rains, metals, minerals, gases, vegetables, pulses, fruits, all for everybody. Everything is for everybody. So He makes us hear every man, everybody has free access. Because everything is for everybody. This is it. And then why are we drawn here? Very important for us. This is a place where every effort will be made to cultivate the spirit of mutual love and service. The sevaks are there, visiting devotees are there. Among themselves there should be mutual love and service. Why we are all pursuing to identify the common denominator. So our search for the common denominator expresses in the form of mutual love and service. There may be something which as an individual we may agree, we may not agree. When somebody's behavior may not be in line with what we think, there will be such turbulence, disturbances, which is natural. But Papa is drawing us to a mutual love and service, mutual love and service, mutual love and service. Then the way in which we react, it becomes tamed, toned down. That assertive nature will get dropped. I am right, you are wrong, that attitude will get dropped. We will slowly try to develop patience. Though initially we may, out of our control when we react, at the shortest possible time, these two words bring us back. Mutual love and service. Mutual love and service. That is the purpose for which he has set up this ashram. Not to make a deep impression about me, Not to have an image about me. Self-effacement. We are trying to understand nobody is more important, nobody is less important. Unknowingly and unwittingly, even if people say so many things, we will not be carried away by it. Always we think we are a sadhaka, moving towards the final destination of becoming aware that he is behind our thoughts, words and deeds. That is the final point. The individual goes, quits. So it's a very important word for all of us. The spirit of mutual love, so that what is realized within his walls may prove as an example for the right contact of human life in the outside world. So visiting devotees when they come here, if they try to dwell upon it, during their period of stay, they will try to observe, to learn, to practice this mutual love and service. Grumblings and complaints will not be there. And then another powerful word. The Lord is our help and guide in all matters. So it should never be on the individual plane. Universal love and service based upon the vision of divinity, mutual love and service, everything is for everybody. All these things should be rooted on the great provider. Fundamental, the foundation of this institution is reliance on God. Not on individuals. Papa on the first day makes it very clear. The Lord is our help and guide in all matters. Many of you might know that it is not that Papa wanted to start this ashram. Papa or Mataji did not want. God made them to accept this idea through some of his instruments. And then God prompted them to say yes. God prompted them to donate this particular land, 400 odd acres of land. So everywhere the starting point is Lord God only. Normally we say, we have set up this, there were a lot of problems at that time, we did this. That is normally we all do that. But here you see Papa says, the Lord is their help and guide in all matters. May He with all His bounty shower His blessings on the great service which is His home of love and bliss. Another point for all of us. Home of love and bliss. We always remember Rajan Bhai, he is not tired of repeating this word. Ashram is a paradise. To us also, how many times he has said, when he will be coming walking with the bag and we used to call him and cut some jokes, immediately he will say, how many of us have understood that this is a paradise? So this home of love and bliss. Are we treating it as is? On the 94th anniversary, Papa prompts us to think about it, the message. And then, if they have not set up this ashram, that's enough. Papa must be going from place to place, Mataji might be accompanying, that's all. What all we have been blessed with, the various publications, the vision. Later on, Puja Swami Sachidanandaji. All these things, take one by one, one by one, one by one. How many devotees were able to come here, stay, with no publicity, no invitation, no celebrations, in its own style.
How many Saminis are there?
So many? Uncle, repeat, Uncle.
How many Saminis are there?
Samitis.
Samidhi is here. So we are how God's work. God's work God does through God's chosen instruments. What all have come out? Today we are reading out from a book called Points to Ponder. As soon as this was pointed out to us, after 3:30 or before 3:30, a few minutes, immediately, points to ponder. So we were able to take this. It's a compilation of Puja Swami Sachidanandaji's message to us, especially during his, 90s. Because it was a reminder. Forget about Swamiji, the occasions. Solid, the message is solid. 91, we are in 2025. 34 years back. What he told, it has come in the book form, it is there, forever, because the ashram was there. Every day we read something, God experience. Yesterday we were reading. That was the Satsang he held in Panchavadi. Swami Krishnanji Maharaj was prompted to take down and put it out in this form. Gospel by Puja Swami Sachidanandaji itself. Papa's 4 books. In quest of God, at the feet of God, in the vision of God, world is God. Even today, somebody wrote to us that they would like to bring out In Quest of God text We told them, okay. And they have brought it. Who told them? That inquest of God has got photo of wherever you visited, no, one at least one photo. They have not come to ashram, only came later. They have not met Papa. Even today we get lot of orders for inquest of God, more for inquest of God. The first book. Just imagine. So these 4 books, and when he was prompted to take up a global tour, 4 books, lectures of Swami Ramdas, Papa's own talks of Swami. How he prompted, how devotees are prompted to bring out small books like glimpses, sayings, and one more book, The Speaks. Think directly and indirectly, so many benefits for posterity. All because Papa was prompted to set up this on 1931 on this day. So with a heart full of gratitude, we are now remembering, at least for this moment. We may forget. And we are sitting here because the ashram was set up. And the reliance on God is stressed through Papa's triune path, Nam Dhyan Seva. Even now, whether we do it mechanically, superficially, or whatever it is said and done, Nama still goes on. Likita Nama is also going on. Later on, we will come to know that at least we are chanting or writing to remember him, to remember him, to remember him. Through the books, through the teachings. So there should be a platform where we can do all these things. They have provided a platform for us. Nam Seva Dhyan. And in order that we don't get stuck up with these disciplines, Papa reminds us, universal love and service, universal love and service, universal love and service. When he found, after observing various organizations, that ideal is likely to be diluted, unknowingly. He has brought out, even in the vision of God, prior to setting up this ashram, because if our inference is correct, it's only an inference. He started writing this in the vision of God in his own handwriting. It must have started in 28, 29, 30, something like that. Because one devotee asked why it is not printed out. At that time, ashram, no facilities were there to get it printed. So we infer that it was taken up after setting up this ashram. And we also vaguely remember somebody pointing out that the later portion was added to it, including Papa dictated. The other one was written, this was dictated, and then Balaji Mama joined us. So putting all together, we find this must have been finalized in 1932-33, and that is why in 1934 the book came out. Before that, just imagine, It is relevant to read that also today. Early in life, prior to setting up this ashram, no institution can justify its existence if it does not keep abreast of the changing times. Evolution is the law of life and change is its keynote. How flexible, you know? We will not say tradition, this and that. We should read this again and again. No institution can justify its existence. It will be most appropriate to read this on an ashram anniversary day. If it does not keep abreast of the changing times, evolution is the law of life and change is its keynote. While stagnation means deterioration and misery, progress denotes freedom and happiness. The former stands for discord and chaos, the latter for harmony and peace. Religion points to the vision of God, the supreme liberation and bliss born of the immortal. This vision is not circumscribed by tradition and doctrine because it transcends all limitation. Every other thing changes, you know. But this one will be there. God. The rules of life should be set and adjusted that they might admit of being outgrown. When the keen hunger for the soul seeks utter freedom in God, if this truth is ignored, life becomes a complex tangle in which the soul is caught, enchained and helpless, hopelessly struggling to be free from the net of its own making. In institution, no tradition, this and the customs and all those things will be there. But if we forget the idea, if we try to recognize the process of evolution, we should be able to outgrow. The seed must have a ground so prepared that it might break through the soil and spring out into growth. We are putting it under the soil, no? It doesn't remain there. Growth, how will we know? It sprouts, comes out of the clutches of the soil. The seed must have a ground so prepared that it might break through the soil, spring out into growth. Also, favorable conditions have to be provided for the plant to evolve into a big tree, then into flowers, and lastly fruits. It must not be forgotten that fruit is the consummation of the seed. Our realizing our oneness with Him is the fruit. The rest of the things are all secondary. It must not be forgotten that the fruit is the consummation of the seed. So, an institution is the garden, where every facility for the cultivation of the soul, might ultimately transcend the institution for the higher, true, complete vision of life. Just as the tree outgrows its fence. When we plant as a sapling, in order to protect it from cows and this, we have a small welded mesh cover. Suppose if the plant's height is like this, fence will be there. But it doesn't mean the plant will stop the growth. It outgrows, then the fence is not necessary. So this fence is the institution. Just as the tree outgrows its fence and spreads its branches freely in the air, or as the pupil outgrows the school of life for that of the world. Else, otherwise, an institution becomes at once an organized bondage and an incubus that warp and crush the healthy evolution of life to its destined goal of freedom and joy. Prior to setting up of this ashram, when he wrote this, I think this is his third or fourth chapter. Fourth chapter in the big book, towards Gokarna. There he was passing through, we assume, we don't know whether it is right or wrong. He was walking from Udupi, he was going forward, he must have passed through Shirali. He makes a mention about Shirali. Crossing the Gangoli ferry, they came to a hamlet called Kiri Manjeshwar. They passed through Baindur, Bhatkal, reached Shirali. Here Ramcharan Das proposed to visit the famous Saraswat Chitrapur Mutt. It was God's will that Ramdas should only wait in the jungle outside the mud building, while Ramcharan Das entered the mutt. After a while he returned with Bhiksha. Chitrapur Mutt is a religious institution belonging to the enterprising and intelligent Saraswat community in which Ramdas had his old work. The religious head of the Guru has his headquarters in Chitrapur. The present head of the mutt is a young man of great purity, character and spirit. Ramdas had the good fortune of having his darshan in the Kasaragod ashram. His Guru was conservative in his methods of control over the community, but he was a great tapasvi. His successor, the present Swami, possesses a broad outlook and has relaxed the stringent rules of the previous regime. There he remembered, no institution can justify its existence. How valid it is even today, And we look back to our own periods of association with the ashram. Are we carried away by this bondage, or are we trying to grow from stage to stage? So these are all the important points that we remember on this day. First is the inaugural speech that contains all that is to be known. And secondly, this one. That means the ideal should be there. Ideal, there is no change. But the methodology has to go abreast of time. That is why he said, no institution can justify its existence if it does not keep abreast of changing times. Evolution is the law of life, and change is its keynote. We, of course, we don't know how far it is appropriate, but still we feel, now the thought comes, we are sharing. When we started closely associating with this ashram, one day we were telling Puja Swamiji, compared to the 60s when we started coming here, a lot of facilities are there, so there is every likelihood that the self-denial aspect is slowly fading. So we must have a place where intense sadhaka should have a minimum, basic only, and they should be leading a very simple and humble life with very, very few creature comforts. Swamiji has got a knack of, convincing him. He said, yes, you can do it. You can do it. So we took him there to the present place where we are staying, Sadhana Kudir. It is an open ground. It's like this. Swamiji, this is the place that came to us. Very nice, we can do that. Swamiji, the intention is that we will have only a small thatched shed and the flooring will be only mud. It will be a common latrine, common bathroom, so that everybody has to think about others. I said, yes, it's very nice. So when we were coming, he slowly started telling, the actual we may not get, we can go in for a simple RCC. Flooring, it may not suit, we may not get, every now and then covering has to be applied. So we can have a simple CC concrete. Rest of the things can be done. And finally, when it came out, it also became as a building. So when we are reading this, that is this nature. But we have also seen thatched shed neatly maintained by other people. We were wondering, suppose such a thing was there, whether we will be able to adjust now. Certainly not, we will not be able to adjust. Because we are used to certain comforts, and it will not be occupied by anybody excepting as a showpiece. So Swamiji knew that we have to keep abreast of the time. So gently he said, without wounding our sentiments, it is all right, you can have, but we will have a RCC proof, simple CC for red oxide is in common bathroom, that is okay. So that means we have to move with the time. And it's practical. It is very difficult to get patches. It is very difficult to get people who are specialized in that. Everywhere it is disappearing now. Previously there were only thatched sheds. Now there is no thatched shed anywhere. So Swamiji was moving along with the time while we were thinking about the old pattern. Just now it stuck to us. So now on this day we try to remember these two. One is no institution can justify its existence if it does not keep abreast of the changing times. Evolution is the law of life and change is its keynote. The vision is not circumscribed by tradition and doctrine because it transcends all limitations. The rules of life should be so set and adjusted that they might admit of being outgrown when the keen hunger of the soul seeks utter freedom in God. If this truth is ignored, life becomes a complex tangle in which the soul is caught, enchained, helpless, hopelessly struggling to be free from the net of its own making. It slips into, it doesn't inspire. So we have to yield promptness. We should not be rigid in assimilating those ideas. We should be free always, new ideas. And leave this control C, control V pattern. Copy, paste. Something original. So let us all remember on this day, and anybody else would like to say anything? 5 minutes. May 1931. As ashram is not used to this celebration, we don't. What is more important is not the outer celebration, What is more important is the theme, the theme behind the day. And mysteriously it will be a reminder to us if it is necessary for our sadhana. And of course, we cannot even imagine unless we go through the old albums. We cannot imagine the living condition in 1931 and how Papa and Mataji lived here. Papa was sleeping in the inside room of our bhajan hall, and the hall, that's all. Even the outer veranda was not there. And Puja Mataji's was in the Shantini, was in a different, not like this, where she had one room for cooking, one room for resting. Electricity was not there, water was drawn by hand from wells. Only dry latrines were there. With that, they planted all the mangoes which we are eating today. No? So on this 94th birthday of the ashram, we are trying to remember with a heart full of gratitude how you are reaching out to many, many, many different parts of the world. And as a sadhaka or a devotee, we are now trying to check up how far we are living up to the expectation. The first one is the vision of universal love based upon the vision of divinity. To what extent we have moved towards this divinity? The sadhana. Ultimate is universal love and service born out of absence of otherness. So it can become a reality only when we totally hand ourselves over, lock, stock and barrel to Him. So long as I keep the me and mine in me, I will not be able to implement the universal love and service. The fundamental thing, universal love and service based upon the vision of divinity in everybody. That one which is me is the one in everywhere. And so when I am drawn with that, some instrumental cause will be there to come here. Not that we have known about universal love and service, but when we are drawn here, we find something which we cannot explain that made us to come here, that made us to go through His inspired life and mission. All His teachings are vibrant. And later on, when Puja Mataji also gave out through so many occasions, very powerful. So we are grateful for that, no? And Puja Swamiji reminded the importance of the day. And at the end, Puja Swamiji is joining with us to pray to Papa Mataji to keep up the same sankalpa. Whatever may be the changes that are taking place at the outer level, their sankalpa should remain untouched and unaffected. Sankalpa is universal love and service based upon the vision of divinity. Whatever may be the challenges, whatever may be the problems we come across, please enable us to hold on to this universal love and service based upon the vision of divinity. In other words, reaching the state of absence of otherness. In other words, making us aware that God is behind our thought, word and deed. That all these thoughts well up in our mind most strongly today, so that we are justified in remembering the importance of the day. Hari Om. Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram 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 Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om to everybody. Pranam, Namaskaram, Namaskaram. Pranam, Pranam.
Pranam.